Hey friends, Dean Bakari here, and welcome to day number 1 of the Club 12 Habit Building Challenge. Now, let me take a shot in the dark here and guess. You've probably tried to build new habits before, right? You've probably been pumped about it, excited about it, super motivated about it in the morning. You crushed it for about 3 days, and then life got in the way, and you went right back to exactly where you started. Look, we've all been there, right? We've all tried to build new habits and break bad habits, and we've all failed at making it happen in the past. Now, over the next 5 days, I'm going to help you change that. Here's my promise to you throughout this challenge. By the time you have finished it, you're not going to have to rely on pure motivation or willpower to do what you need to do anymore. You're going to have a bulletproof, research-backed system, a set of strategies to help you make the behaviors you want to do automatic, natural, effortless, right? You're going to know exactly how to trigger your brain to want to do the hard things that you keep on avoiding, right? You're going to find out how to design your environment in such a way that doing the behaviors you want to do, right? Doing the habit you want to do is practically unavoidable, practically frictionless. And most importantly, you're going to have a built-in safety net for when life inevitably goes sideways, right? In this challenge, you are going to do more than just learn how to build a habit, right? You're going to learn how to make it permanent. So let's get right into it. Now, before we dive into it, before we jump into the psychology behind habits and all that good stuff, I've got one very specific thing for you to do, which is this. I want you to pick one major habit to focus on throughout this challenge, right? Just one, not 3. Don't pick 3 habits. Don't decide that today is going to be the day that you completely overhaul your entire life, because that is exactly how people fail. They take on too much, too soon, too fast, right? So choose one specific, measurable habit that you want to lock in on, right? And focus on throughout this challenge. Maybe it's reading every day, right? Maybe it's getting up in the morning and doing a workout. Maybe it's getting into the habit of making 10 sales calls a day. Whatever it is for you, right? Pick the one highest leverage habit that you can think of to support your most important goal right now, and then lock that bad boy in, because we are going to get focused on it over the next 5 days. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to make this new habit permanent, how to sustain it, how to make it last over the long run. Now, if you would, go ahead and write that habit down or keep it in mind. And I want to share something really important with you now about how habits work, something I learned from the behavioral science researchers at Stanford. What they tell us is that when it comes to doing a behavior consistently, right, when it comes to building habits, sheer willpower alone is completely unreliable, right? If you only rely on willpower, you're eventually going to fail. Why? Because willpower is finite, right? Just like the battery on your smartphone, right? It's finite. It runs out. You've only got so much of it that you can use throughout the day. But here's the good news, right? Willpower is also like a muscle, right? It can be strengthened over time through habits. Now, what is a habit, right? What is a habit anyway? A habit is any behavior that you automatically do with little to no thought or effort. Now, here's the tricky part about building habits. To turn a behavior into a habit, you actually need a bit of upfront willpower. Just enough willpower until the habit takes hold and becomes easy and automatic for you to execute. Right? So the idea here is this: to start a new habit, you need a little bit of willpower. But if that habit is too big, you're going to run out of willpower before it becomes automatic. So to make it stick, you want to start with the smallest possible version of the behavior you want to turn into a habit. For example, if you want to build a weightlifting habit, right, you don't want to walk into the gym and just start loading up the bench press with plates, right? First of all, you're going to injure yourself. And second of all, you're not going to make progress. you want to start with little weights. Start with lightweight and then build your way up from there. As you get stronger, you slowly add more weights, small steps daily. And eventually, if you take small steps daily and you increase the weight in small increments, you'll avoid overwhelming your willpower, and over time, it'll lock in as a habit. Right? So if you've tried and failed at building strong habits in the past, it's likely because you started too big. And if you start too big, you burn out. So instead, what do you want to do? You want to expand your willpower in small increments over time. And as you continue to do that, you'll notice something incredible. Eventually, if you stick with it, you'll no longer need that willpower. And that is when you know it's a habit. Right? So let's say you want to start a running habit, for example. I'll give you one more example. Right? If you haven't gone running in months and you want to start trying to run 5 miles a day on day one, right? You're going to be setting yourself up for failure. Right? If you want to start running 5 miles a day, you don't need to muster up the motivation and willpower to do all 5 miles on day one. Right? For day one, you just need enough motivation, enough willpower to put on your running shoes, lace those bad boys up, walk out the front door, and maybe do a lap around the block. That's it. Right? You start small. So here's your challenge for today. Your day one challenge for the habit building challenge is step one. I want you to identify your target habit. This is the habit, the one habit that you most want to build. And I mentioned at the outset of this challenge. Don't worry about how hard it is to develop right now. Make it as big and as grand as you'd like. This is a long-term habit that you want to build. And then step two, I want you to shrink that habit down until it feels almost ridiculously easy, right? You want to turn that target habit into a tiny habit by scaling it down into a 2-minute version of itself, right? Read a book a week becomes read 1 page. Work out for an hour becomes do 10 push-ups. Meditate for 20 minutes becomes take 3 slow, deep breaths, right? And commit to doing only this 2-minute version of the ultimate habit that you want to build today. All right, make it so easy that you can't say no. Make it so easy that it feels silly not to do. That is the thing that most people miss when they start out trying to build a new habit. They go in too hard, too soon. They try to take too much on, and then they burn out and they give up because your willpower can't handle it, right? So the trick is to use just enough willpower in the beginning by taking small steps daily and then building your way up from there towards your ultimate habit. So today, lock in the ultimate habit that you want to build and then create a small, tiny version of it, right? A 2-minute version of that habit and do it, right? If you want to get into the habit of doing 50 push-ups a day, that's wonderful. That's fantastic. And I'm rooting you on, baby. But for today, just crank out a few push-ups. Make it your goal to do even 1 push-up, right? It's a success, right? So you turn that target habit of 50 push-ups into a tiny habit of just 1 push-up. And then we build up from there. So go ahead and do your tiny habit today, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 2 of the Habit Building Challenge.